To the morning show. And now we got the full power microphone. Not that you can hear me over all that racket of music, but yeah. Well, we have our mics back in full power. Why is there no intro music happening here? Let's see what's going on there. Yeah. And I just needed to let me just make sure that intro works for the YouTube people. Just give me a second. Yeah, well, intro music isn't working for YouTubers. Okay, I'll have to look in that after the show is over. So let's get into it today. On the morning show, welcome one and all. And how you guys doing? My, it's been some time. A little bit. I say some time. It really hasn't been that much lack in time. We have the studio lights down at this moment. So let me take a moment and get them on. Hold on for these messages. I'll be right back. First thing.
The bond we share with our pets, it's undeniable. They fill us with love, comfort, and joy, and they deserve the same. As pet owners, we want to care for and protect our pets. Sadly, in homes where domestic violence occurs, pets are often victims too. I'm Russell Wilson, and this is my dog, Naomi. Each year, millions of domestic violence victims stay in abusive situations because they fear for the safety of their pet. With less than 10% of domestic violence shelters allowing pets, too many lives remain at risk. Victims of domestic violence should never have to make a choice between their own safety and the safety of their loved ones, including pets. That's why the Banfield Foundation supports programs that provide temporary shelter and veterinary care, so people and pets can find safety together. Because when we help pets, we help people too. Visit banfieldfoundation.org/safertogether to learn more.
Okay, well, coming back here.
It's difficult to find a...
Sorry about that. A little took care of nature, as some of you heard when you heard. But we're back here. I tried to put some humor into our shows, even if it means risking, I guess, some sensibilities of our audience members and also my privacy. But in any case, it's a good thing. We're human beings. Some people view me as a demigod of sorts. And so this is just to let you know, I am a human being after all. I am just a human. No matter how many great things that I'm doing and seemingly multiple areas of that I seem to know about and actually create things in, I'm just like all of you, just like you, except I don't watch TV like most of you do. Maybe that's it. Cut a little bit off the TV and maybe you'll be great. Okay, now, what is this thing about farming? Very interesting. You said farming. I live in this big city. I'm in a skyscraper. I wanna live, with all the modern things. I don't want to talk about or even know about farming. Yeah, when you think about farming, what is it exactly comes to mind? Doo-doo. Most people just think about doo-doo. What else? Farming. Well, if you're talking about live animals, of course, which I would be talking about. I have a herd of my own, so I can talk about doo-doo. But another things, there's living plants that you can also do farming with, growing fruit and vegetables, and that's also farming. That's a very common form of farming. And so why would a city dweller like you, I was born in the city, my parentage comes from an island in Puerto Rico called Puerto Rico. And so, every house is basically a farmhouse, practically. And if it isn't on a farm, Puerto Ricans love to have greenery, just hanging from the balconies and just cover themselves in green stuff if their house isn't already buried within a jungle canopy. Basically, Puerto Ricans usually live green. But I was raised in this concrete jungle. So, what do I have to do with farming? Well, today I actually started on a new farm today. It's actually a true story. I didn't make it up. Today I actually go to inspect a farm, and that I expect to be managing from here on in. And I'm looking forward to this new farm for under our management, and hopefully would be one of the farms that we would be including in our program that I'll be talking about in a little bit. What we're going to look at is a Forbes magazine article. But what I want to first talk about is why should you, as a city dweller or just a regular person that doesn't live on a farm today, and why should you be thinking about farming? That's a good question. Maybe all you're interested is in cryptocurrency. Like, we can ask a lot of questions. So would you rather be in cryptocurrency? Is that something you figure that you should be in? That's a modern thing. It isn't farming, is it? Although some terms in cryptocurrency does refer to farms. There are mining farms, for example. Cryptocurrency includes things like mining, and then there's farms also. So there is some type of farming going on even with cryptocurrency, although it has nothing to do with what we're talking about today in terms of farms. But the idea, the structure, the concept of having a structured, growing operation where it produces fruit or produce that people will benefit from or that you can benefit from. The end of the day, it puts food on your table, either the literal form or the crypto form or whatever conceptual form you can think about. It puts food on the table at the end of the day. And I guess that is the reason that over and above all things, above career choices that you have or you're thinking about, above crypto, which crypto coin, should I do Bitcoin right now? Should I do some altcoins right now? And beyond, political issues and whatnot, because those are important too. They really do determine even, what your money's going to look like in a few months to a few years. The main preoccupation that you should have, same one that I have, and not for me, because I can do without some food. Lord knows, you look at me, I can do with a little less food, right? But for the kids, the kids I'm raising here, they deserve to eat and have food on the table. And with the things that have been going on of late with this COVID and now the discoveries that it was an event, and even that the United States could be involved in this somehow, it gets a reasonable mind has to say or think, I need to take care of my own butt. I need to be prepared. We hear a lot about preparing. I think there's some special going on right now for some of the, I'm not sure if they're freeze-dried foods or whatnot, but they're emergency food packages that there seems to be a very good deal right now going on that you should be looking at. I think the name of the company is no link here. I'm not making money off of this, but I've seen it advertised of late. They got a new order came in, and they're filling out orders like mad for, I think it's called Patriot Food or something like that. Look it up online. They have a good deal. You can even pay a monthly basis and have yourself a supply of emergency foods. I've always been talking to you guys about that during the past year at least. And I've created a series also talking about, being prepared. Let me, by the way, talk about that. I've not put on the chat rooms yet, so let me just, because somebody's probably yelling at me, why aren't you paying attention? I'm trying to ask a question. So we have a video series. If you're on Facebook, on YouTube, you may be able to find it, where I talk about how to prepare your home, how to repurpose your kitchen cabinets, particularly repurpose your kitchen cabinets and reorganize them. Literally is what I'm suggesting. So that you can be prepared and have sufficient food to survive at least for 2 months. I've always been recommending 2 months. It's surprising how many people still depending on the government, because the government keeps telling you like 3 days. I mean, really? You think the government's going to get to your house and give food to your kids in 3 days? You're really going to depend on the government on that? Shame on you if you do that. You need to have things in your control. And 3 days, buddy, is not going to hack it. Now, we don't have to have the government. They can be well-intentioned. I'm not saying the government's out to get you. I'm just saying crap happens in life, Things happen where even the government is unable to assist. Even they're trying to figure things out. You see, you got more and more Americans, by the way. I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but a lot of more Americans are moving to Puerto Rico. Oh, Puerto Rico. I'm a Puerto Puerto-Rican. Okay, I was born in New York. Again, I was born in New York City, so I'm really a New York-Rican. But, Puerto Rico, it seems to me, I've been, my gray hairs remind me that Puerto Rico is not too hurricane-friendly. And the hurricanes always with a few exceptions, but that Puerto Rico is right in the alley for almost all of the hurricanes during the hurricane season. Then that mixed with this issue with the United States taking its slowpoke to go and save your butt over there in Puerto Rico. It's fascinating the extent to which people want to avoid paying taxes on their crypto. So I guess they're setting up house in Puerto Rico, but I would only have to assume that during the hurricane season they don't plan to be physically on the island. You know what I mean? But wherever these crypto millionaires and billionaires eventually are during natural disasters, and be it here in the United States or where you are, where you're living, it still befalls on us all to be prepared and to, do the right thing. But I think the problem with the human race is that we don't do the right thing. I think we have a propensity for making mistakes or thinking wrongly. And so that's just something that you need to check yourself. I mean, we look at people who prepare themselves and we call them crazy. We look at people who've developed, built great organizations and enterprises, and we call them thieves. And we say that they're dishonest. And it seems to me that we call honest people liars, scam artists. This is the situation that we see repeated and repeated and repeated day after day, day in and day out. And it's very sad to see. I deal with people on the atheist forums calling God immoral and God a murderer and an evil God. Can you imagine that? So it's just a twisted view that people have in society today. So what is your twist on reality today? Is it so twisted that you even think that farming cannot possibly be something that you should be looking into? Well, I'm going to prove to you that you're wrong. I'm going to prove to you today that farming is exactly the most important thing you need to be looking at, even above and beyond your cryptocurrency concerns, your money concerns, your career concerns, and all of that. Farming should be your number one thing. And I'll give you all the reasons in today's show. Let us go and look at the Forbes article. This is dated January 14th, 2021. So it's not that far back that this article appeared in Forbes. This is the editor's pick, and this is the online Forbes.com. So let us look at that article right now. And here we have proof number one that the most important thing that you should be concerned with is having a farm. Now I want to show you before we finish with today's topic. Everyone, let me just tell you one thing before you excuse. I can't be a farmer. I cannot have a farm. I'm here in my little 2x4 high class Manhattan studio. Before you go there, let me just make this statement. Everyone, I'll repeat again because some people don't understand words. Everyone can own a farm. And the second thing is this. Everyone can afford it. Okay, so those two things, remember that. I'm going to show you how before we end today. Now, guess who else is into farming? You see it right there. America's biggest owners, not only into farming, he's America's biggest owner of farmland, is now Bill Gates. Yeah, the computer guy, right? Windows. The high tech, the machine you're watching me on now, most of you, the guy who makes all that filthy money, that brain that put things together and started marketing this thing called a personal computer and the Windows system and started dominating. Also the one who made the what's that gaming console, Xbox thing, right? Xbox is out there. Not me. I'm a PS3 man, but and a PS man. But anyway, here your boy is America's number one farmer. Okay, he is. Let's read it here because you guys don't listen. So how about reading? Bill Gates, the fourth richest person in the world, and a self-described nerd who is known for his early programming skills rather than his love of the outdoors, another city slicker, has been quietly snatching up 242,000 acres of farmland across the U.S., enough to make him the top private farmland owner in America. So you tell me, what is this, the fourth richest man in the whole world, undisputably a very intelligent man at that. Undisputably, most of you, all of you except for 4 other folks, smarter than all of you except for 4 in the world. He is the biggest farm owner in the U.S. You tell me why. Okay. See, if above all the things that you guys are interested in right now, and people are looking after Bitcoin, altcoins, commodities, this investment, stock market, I get a lot of people. You have your pensions and some stock. You got some stock. You're doing Robinhood. Whatever it is that you guys are venturing. Some of you guys are starting businesses. Hey, some of you guys are getting your businesses from me, right? A lot of you, everybody's getting a website. Everybody in the uncle has a website. You're trying to do business online. You're doing this. You're doing that. Independent work. Freelancing here and there. And we have our interests and our preferences and everything like that. Yet the most successful guy, the richest guys, is the number 1 farmer. He got so much land. And the question is, why do you think so? I'm going to tell you something, that all of the things that you're looking for and pursuing in your life mean nothing. The day comes when your supermarket does not have any food to sell you. You can have all the Bitcoin in the world, and when you go to the supermarket and there's no food because the supply chain has been severed, interrupted by protesters, by riots, by pandemics, by war, whatever. Anything can happen. Natural catastrophe, earthquake, volcanic eruption, an asteroid hits the planet Earth. All of you and all of your Bitcoin and all of your businesses and everything you think and value as precious and goal-setting worthy, all of that is done. Your computer, even Bill Gates' computer and Windows will be kaput. Nothing. But the only guy who will be having food on his table for who knows how long is called Bill Gates. Okay? While you have on your table his computers that don't work any longer. But your Bitcoin is stored there, of course. You don't want to throw that away, do you? For the day comes whenever electricity is restored, maybe in another millennia. You will have your Bitcoin there. But in the meantime, you have nothing. See? What are you going to do in an emergency? This is the question I have for you. Anything can happen. You have the sun. The sun can throw some flares out over the United States and all the world and knock out the electricity. You ever thought about that? Where will your Bitcoin be? Where will your altcoins? Hey, listen, I talk about Bitcoin. I talk about cryptocurrency all the time. And I'm not saying not to get into it, not to do it, right? But also don't be dumb. I've always told you not to be dumb. Look at the example. Look what Bill Gates is doing. He's being smart. Now, I'm not saying that he's doing that. Now, I'm going to show you he's smarter than what we're giving him credit for, because if you think that he's doing that just to have food on his table, of course not. There's something else. Okay? It's part of a larger scheme of projects that Bill Gates is working on. But the whole concept here, that even if everything falls down and everything collapses, who will have the better hand at surviving? This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about not progressing and not thinking forward and being futuristic. Of course, I am the number one promoter of being futuristic. After all, I'm the creator of the first game that's an NFT. In itself, not that it's an asset for a game, that it itself is a game. I'm forward thinking. I'm ahead of the pack. I beat out all the developers there on that one. They hate me for it, but that's the bottom. That's the fact. So that's too bad. But I am a forward thinker. I'm ahead of the pack. Okay, when it comes to that. But being ahead doesn't mean it does not equate with being stupid. And for some reason, a lot of people have been associating stupidity and idiocy with being the head guy. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for y'all, because what happens is that you are not preparing. You are going to be unprepared when the stuff hits the fan. It's as simple as that. These are like the days of Noah. Even if you're a Bible believer, as I am, the Bible refers to the days of Noah as being repeated again. And what was the thing that was happening in the days of Noah? He was a nutcase talking to people about the end of the world. And he was preaching it for 120 years, and no one believed him. No one believed him. What you're saying is impossible. Modern science does not support what you say. What are you talking about? And God? I mean, who are you talking about? You're hearing voices, are you, Noah? Until the thing happened. Of course, atheists don't believe today that it ever happened. Again. But when the time comes, when the moment happens, it's going to happen. Even if you're an atheist, you have to agree that this planet Earth will be destroyed in the future. You have to agree. Because if you believe that the universe is its own thing, then you know that it creates itself and then it destroys itself, doesn't it? It's a cycle. So the comment or the belief that times are changing and things will change and this earth will be transformed, you must agree with what the Bible says, because the Bible also says the same thing. So it's just an issue of matter of time. The issue is when. So the question is, and right now we didn't need a major catastrophe. The pandemic was quite enough, but it wasn't a natural catastrophe. I mean, was it man-made, man-caused, or was it was it accidental? Was it natural? Still don't know with that one, right? But what's your leaning? And almost we had a situation where we almost didn't have any food. Well, the meat was going to be not deliverable, right? What happened with Tyson during the pandemic? They were shutting down, and if they shut down, there was going to be a shortage of meat in the supermarkets. And that was going to start a widespread panic buying, and just like the toilet paper issue, no one's going to find meat at the supermarket. There's going to be a run on the supermarkets. So how are you going to feed your kids? Okay. So again, these are things that you have to think about. But more than that, you should know that, and you should be making preparations. we've been on our channel, we talk about our Farm Owners Association. You can get your own farm through our organization. And when emergency strikes, you and your family will have food on your table. Okay, you need to get that started. It's not a widespread program. Okay, so you need to be the first ones to get in. You need to get in while there's space. But again, these are things that people, you hold up on doing because you think other things are more important. You think that your money is more important to be spent on the other things. And those other things are not going to be around. When there's no food on the table, you are going to die. You have very little time to be then making a plan B or thinking about what to do then. You have to prepare now, and you have to know what's important now. Okay, so we see that Bill Gates, though, what is Bill Gates doing? Well, he's working with a few projects, and I'm going to point out something after I show you what else the article discloses for you. So he says that he's been purchasing agricultural land in Florida and Washington, and he has built massive farmland portfolio spanning 18 states. He has land in Louisiana, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Now look at the distribution. Arkansas, he has in Florida, which is the southeast. Arkansas, which is like a state over from after Georgia, on the south, on the southern part of the southeastern part of the United States, heading down towards Texas, going across the Gulf of Mexico. Then he has Louisiana, which is another hop, skip, and jump towards Texas. Louisiana is right before Texas, right? So you get to see. Now he's covering the southeast, south central part of the United States. And then the next state over would be Texas. It doesn't say he has anything in Texas. But then he skips and he has transitional land on the west side of Phoenix, Arizona, which is being developed into a suburb. So again, he has covered basically most of the southern, southeast, and south central and towards the west, now southwest of the United States. He's up the middle, going up to Nebraska, which is up towards the north, and he has land all in between. It's still 18 states. So on top of that, he owns what he says he has a something about a Canadian railroad. Let me see where that is. It has a food safety. We'll get back to that. Oh yes, and he has a Canadian National Railway. So did you notice that? You see that? So he's covering most of the United States with his land ownership, and then voila, there's a railroad involved up in Canada. What? There's a railroad up in Canada. Now, I don't know if you guys understand railroading at all, but railroads are connected. Railroads are connected, okay? So you have major land tracts in the U.S. There's railroads all over the U.S. But also then he has a railroad in Canada particularly. Okay, now Canada, this is north, it's cold. A lot of mountains over there, a lot of crooks and crannies, a lot of places like to hide. Okay, you have to be watching what the rich are doing, because they have the money to do their, like I suggested to you in my videos about Plan A, Plan B. You have to look at what they're doing. Where are they putting their money? Now, if I know that if I had lands across the U.S. and then I brought a railroad in Canada, there has to be things going on someplace in Canada. There has to be a place where that railroad ends up in Canada. I would be looking there. Because when stuff starts happening, that would be one option for the plan B. Now, those who've seen my videos know what plan B means. And for those who haven't, plan B, plan C, it usually needs to move from your location. Move away from your regular location. And it usually would mean, depending on what type of emergency you're leaving, that it affords for you the sustenance. I mean, you're packing in your food storage, a place that you'll be putting things away, plus shelter, a place that will hide you from the type of emergency you're trying to run from, you're trying to get away from. The choice of the railroad is very interesting. Because the railroad, it appears that the railroad, if you think about it, you don't need any electrical thing for the railroad. You understand? The railroad is like, you need just an engine that's burning, is burning some type of fuel and creating steam. It can get really just old-fashioned like that, especially if there's no electricity. If there's no electricity, you wouldn't want like an electric railroad. It wouldn't help you. And even if it was an electric railroad, even when there's no electricity, the only thing, the railroad can still operate using steam engines because you don't need electricity. You just need fire. So he has, and in Canada you got trees like mad, and also in the lands that he has in the United States. Either way, Canadian lumber or American lumber, wherever you find yourself, there's trees. It's interesting how he is positioned, his ability to access fuel that doesn't need electricity or anything, but yet he can move around and quickly. Because you got a railroad, you can move around. You got that steam engine with a good head of steam. You guys are moving. So it's very interesting. We're speculating here because that's his private business. But in either case, it's interesting how he's aligning both futuristic, progressive research and development projects. Because on all of these things, you can, and it's indicated in the article. If you look, and we'll take a look there now again, you can see that one of his third-party entity, which he uses to hide his purchasing and his activities, is called Cascade Investments. Interesting name, right? Cascade. It's when things are falling down rapidly. Interesting. Just pay attention. Cascade Investment. I'm sure Bill Gates will watch this and he'll be laughing silly. But again, Cascade Investments, and then the other investments that Cascade has include food safety. So, and it's through a company that is owned or is invested in by Cascade, Ecolab. So it's very interesting that he has lands. These are farmlands majorly that produce food, and then through his Cascade investment company, he has Ecolab, which is involved in food safety, and then the railroad, again, providing access. Railroads was how monopoly actually got started. Monopoly, if you know the game Monopoly, those railroads, why they're so important, you've played the game. You realize that the railroads are strategically located. You know, you got those 4 railroads there. And although they look like there's just a little bit of money in each, but if you have all 4 of them, that it's a good holding to have. It's a good holding to have. But in real business, the Muggles had those railroads. That was the way to be a millionaire. Even millionaires would increase their holdings because with a railroad, you controlled the transportation of resources that other rich people needed, and towns and government needed. You had great power if you owned a railroad. And what railroads today seem to be like a yesterday's technology. It's like something people don't even think about today anymore. But when things hit the fan, when there are supply chain stoppages, interruptions, where there is fuel interruptions, when there are wartime or anything like that that would really shut things down, railroad is something that would give you transportation, access to resources, and a lot of connections and power, just like it was in the old days. So the railroad actually is still a source of power and influence, but it's just dormant right now. It's really dormant. It's just really waiting for something to happen where the train will again, the railroad will again be king. Okay. And that means that everything that's progressed from the railroad stops. Okay? So right now, having a steam engine, it's just a matter of checking if that Canadian railroad still has a steam engine or not. I would be very, very surprised that it did not. There has to be a steam engine around that railroad. And it would be the smart thing to do. If you had a railroad, there's some YouTubers that do railroads, by the way. So take a look at that and whatnot. There's still railroading going on now. But if you have a steam engine, all you have to do is get some wood in there and hit that fire, get that fire going. You are moving. And I think any railroad company without a steam engine, functioning steam engine, is really just dumb. At this point, you're just dumb. You need to maintain at least one steam engine, because that's the thing. It's going to work. No matter what happens, that steam engine, you put in some wood and light that fire, and we're going to have some steam. Okay. So again, steam, food, shelter. That's what you see with what Bill Gates is doing. We're going to talk right now about his research and development. What things can you possibly do with farming? Why would a guy like Bill Gates, with all the money in the world, be doing with a farm? Because the thing is that there are so many dangers. He realizes that the big money in the future is just as much preserving our food supply than it is creating new technologies. I mean, we have new technologies will always be, something that we can create, okay? But then we won't be covering our rear ends. There's an old saying like CYA, cover your rear end. You know what I mean? So what Bill Gates is doing is a CYA strategy, because he did what he did with technology. He made his contribution in technology. And right now, anything future has to be done by the guys he left and controlled. And the students coming out of college today, and doing research and continuing development, R&D. Okay, so he had the money for that. He has it. Let these guys do that. But when you get older, you start getting wiser. This is the thing you need to notice about this. As he got older, he got wiser. And he figured, yeah, it's good. Technology is great. But he also sees how it can all fall apart overnight by someone stupid, by some natural catastrophe, which a natural thing can happen and put everything or put most people out of work, out of their health, also health-wise. And you know that Bill Gates has a foundation that has to do with health too. Hey, hello. See, Bill Gates is positioning himself in the important industries, in the important concerns of humanity. That's where his money from technology and the wisdom from living and reasoning has brought him to realize what you guys should be realizing already. And what is that? That is what is the most important thing for you to worry about today. And that is securing your food supply. Okay, water and food, basic stuff. That doesn't mean now that you're going to leave the city. Okay, it just means that you have to you need to acquire some farming productivity through the program that we run. You can have a farming entity, a farming unit that will produce income for you. So if money's your thing, you're looking for money. I mean, that's why you're in crypto. That's why you're working. You want to build up money and have financial freedom or financial independence. You want to build family wealth. Well, one of the components you really should be looking into is having some type of farming operation. And our program provides a farming operation, a farming unit for every person. Well, for those who join the program, because there's a limit. Because there's a limit to the amount of land there is. And so that is why you need to get in on this as early as possible. With that, we have the Emergency Preparedness Program. So the FOA prepares, it works as a farm unit, creating income, producing income from its production of animals and vegetation. Then the Emergency Association deals with storing and delivery of food, not just in an emergency, which is the great thing. Your delivery of food begins as soon as the stores are full. Once your stores are full, then we start cycling, because everything that's in storage should be fresh. So we begin to cycle through the storage. So the things that were in storage, like from last month, those get delivered to your home. That's the stuff you guys can start eating and putting on your table. What does that do? Well, you're interested in making money. Well, then you have to you spend less on your grocery. You're saving money. And now you have more money to do what? Well, to buy crypto, right? To put into your investments or to play. Okay? So again, having your own production unit is very, very smart. Like Bill Gates. Very, very smart. Because then that money that you're saving on groceries, you can put into R&D and developing things to make the world a better place tomorrow. And if everything hits the fan, if all the crap hits the fan, as they say, you and your family will be taken care of. And that's what Bill Gates has done for him and his family, although he's having a divorce. He's going through a divorce right now. That's a different story altogether, right? But yeah, he's prepared. He's prepared for the worst of it. So think about that as we try to get out of this pandemic situation. as Bitcoin tumbles from its high of 60, now it's 30 something. And as you're thinking about seriously, which you should be, of putting some of your investment dollars into cryptocurrency of one way, one sort or another, think also of the more important thing, which is making sure that when everything else fails, and realize that it can easily fail, you need to be like Bill Gates. You need a place to go. You need food to eat. You need water to drink. Okay, and not necessarily in that order, but you know what I'm talking about. You need resources. Bill Gates has them. What's keeping you from yours? Why are you making decisions that put your family and continue putting your family at great risk? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. So today on the morning show, and we'll be right back to close after these messages.
Number one, obviously, is safety.
You guys on YouTube,
we definitely call 811 to find out if there are any buried lines, fiber optic, whether it be telephone or pipeline or anything. Don't take a chance. Don't think you know and say, well, I don't remember anything being put in there. Call 811 and make sure that that's identified, that there isn't something there before you make that crossing. Because in the end, we want everybody going home.
Maintain, what you're doing, but also have this other resource. So to visit that,
they're replacing old clay tile. It's broken down over the years. It's clogged up, so it's creating a water issue. The tile runs across the field and it crosses our pipe. So they're going to replace that old clay tile with new 8-inch plastic pipe. In our line of work, safety is number one. We don't shortcut, especially when you're working around large diameter, high volume, high pressure pipe, gas pipe. We want to see everybody go home safe.
And we end. Sorry, the mic was off. I haven't prepared the YouTube crowd, or at least that other instance of OBS, with any commercial messaging. So I was entertaining them otherwise. But I'm going to talk to you now. The final segment here. Basically, your need to get things straightened out. The first thing, I really encourage all of you to look for my emergency preparedness videos. They're freely accessible. I believe they're on YouTube. I'm sorry, I do these shows impromptu. I don't prepare before, and everyone would criticize me. You know better. You have to prepare this stuff and have the URL and all that. I've done shows in the past, and I've given you the URLs. It's simply I'm just doing the show to bring it back up to your memory. You need to do the homework. Go and look for my videos. If you have, you have your kitchen and your kitchen should be emergency prepared. If your kitchen cabinets still have simply your day-to-day, pull this out for today's dinner and do this kind of, stuff like that. You're still working that traditional kitchen system. You are ill prepared. You're just ill prepared. Things can happen. You'll get disconnected from your children. It will happen during work. You guys, I was in New York when 9/11 happened. People did not get home. You have to understand, your kids don't have anyone at home. Some of you will have no one at home. And your kitchen cabinets may become the only way your kids can survive. So you really need to rethink the kitchen cabinet. Okay? Forget about the traditional kitchen. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help your family. Your whole operation with food and in the kitchen has to become an emergency preparedness cycle. You need to be eating the food through the kitchen cabinet. The kitchen cabinet has to be a distribution system, the end part of all your emergency supplies, because they have to go. When you go out shopping, it should go to the start of your emergency supply, not to the kitchen cabinets. Okay, that's the point. Most people go shopping and it goes to the kitchen cabinet and into the refrigerator, right? That's the way you go shopping. Kitchen cabinet, refrigerator. Kitchen cabinet, pantry, the refrigerator. That's how most people have their kitchen set up. It's not good. Okay, what it needs to be is that you need to go shopping to shop to refill the emergency supplies. And from the emergency supplies, it should travel through your house, because you should have 2 months supply in your house at all times. And the final 2 to 4 weeks should be your kitchen cabinets. So you need to be eating from your kitchen cabinets. And let's say you have, 4 of these cabinets here. And these should be divided into the day, like the digits on my hand, right? You see the little sections, right? For the pinky, you have this section, this one. Each one is a day of food, each one. So your kitchen cabinets have drawers. I covered this stuff in those videos. It shows you that each drawer, each section of your cabinet is a day of food. And so that as you live this way, and you develop this system moving the food through your systems, through your emergency preparedness system that ends up in the kitchen cabinets. Okay? Your children will know this. Your children will see that the cabinets have, at any given moment, your cabinets will have a month to 2 months worth of food. There's no thinking about what we're going to eat today, because they know that this is Monday and that's Tuesday and that's Wednesday, and it goes like that. So they will know this. Also in your home, they will know what the system is, how the system is to transport and move things along the line so that it ends up in the kitchen cabinet. So, God forbid that something happens that they have to eat through all your emergency supplies. You talk about 2 months plus, right? Then you get to your plan B, which was what I was discussing before, that Bill Gates has there automatically. You wish you had a railroad. Just get on the train and go. But again, these are things that you need to have in place. You have time. There's time. We get warnings. We're getting warning shots. The pandemic was a warning shot. So you have time, ladies and gentlemen. You do have time, but you have to get started. The pandemic. This is a very serious pandemic issue that we just got through by the skin of our teeth here, without a major shortage in the supermarkets. In Australia, they didn't do as good as we did here in the U.S. Realize that other places in the world did far worse than we did here in the U.S. But we only needed a little bit more. A little bit more. And you guys may not know this because, you city guys may not realize this, but I can tell there's things missing that should be here. We don't have them. And these are things that are essential for survival. And we don't have any in the store shelves. You guys don't notice it because you're not planning. You're not doing what needs to be done. But those of us that know can see that certain things are missing. They're still missing from your shelves. Certain key things are missing. Most people don't even realize. And all it takes is for one thing to push it over. And there's going to be a lot of trouble. Now you have this Palestinian and Jewish thing happening around the world. Now even in the U.S. Listen, any little thing can push the people over the edge. And you're depending on what? For your food sustenance, for you and your family? You have to wake up and smell the coffee. Stop fooling around. There's no more time for it, ladies and gentlemen. So, as I started this program today, I'm going to check out my farm operation today, and we're expanding. I'm expanding my farm holdings. I'm expanding my herds. And I did this show today to celebrate that moment, also to announce it. To tell y'all, why aren't you doing it? And I can tell you right now that it was by an act of God, more than my efforts, that we're expanding our farm holding. And that only tells me one thing. Something is going to happen soon. That's the bottom line. The things I've been warning you about are going to happen. So don't waste your time. Do not make the mistake and think that there's nothing to worry about, because there is something really serious to worry about. By the way, I told everyone before that the URL was FOA, the MYCBH.com/LP FOA. It's actually not. It's and no, I think it is, but there's probably two of them, so I'm gonna just check it out. I do so many different programs that, let me see if this one is and which one this is, so I can correct it for you guys. It's showing up on some of your screens, the URL. Okay, yeah, all right. So it's not the food one. It is the FOA. So don't go to the food one unless you're into wanting to start your own restaurant. Okay, that's for the restaurant one. Alrighty. So right. Okay. So I obviously I have to do a lot of some more work on providing these for you, but it's mycbh.com/LP/FOA, not food. Food is for restaurateurs, those who want to start a restaurant. One of my business projects. but the FOA is what you want to be looking at. FOA at the end of that. All right, so that's it for me today. I got this out of the way, and like I said, I'm gonna be Noah here. Yeah, you're gonna be, oh, this guy, they're always saying something's gonna happen and nothing ever does. Something's going on because we're expanding our farms. Take care. Bill Gates, hold up. I'll be joining you in a second. See you guys later. I'm catching up with Bill Gates.